Why is it that you see these student movements happening in Bangladesh? You see it in Nepal. It happened in Sri Lanka. Why is it that it doesn't happen in Pakistan?
Imran Khan is supposed to have symbolized that. He got a lot of support from
The youth,
the younger generation, not the students themselves per se, because each political party has its own students' wing. But the younger generation did support Imran Khan, and the underlying factors were the same: unemployment and disenchantment with the existing political order, which was dominated by two major political parties,
But
ruled by family dynasties.
but finally, they go to polls. Whatever the movement was, Tehreek-e-Insaf movement. Ultimately, the decision is taken by the ballot, right? It's not as if they caused an overthrow of the elected government. They fought an election, won, and he became prime minister. It's a different matter that he got thrown into jail.
He did not become prime minister. He finished first, you are right. His party was not allowed to contest. His party members contested as independents and clocked up the largest number of seats. But the prime minister was chosen from the second largest party, the runner-up, which was PMLN.
No, that's this election.
Yes.
But before that, he has become prime minister.
You know, there again, there was a lot of...
He was installed, you feel? Stolen election?
Not stolen election. These figures are available in public domain. He did not have majority at the end of 2018 elections. So that majority was manipulated by breaking up PMLN ranks and engineering defection to Imran Khan, both at the federal level as well as in Punjab. So army played a role. So what is keeping the students' power from asserting itself is the role of the army, and the other part is the religious parties. And religious parties or groups, their whole cannot be judged only in terms of electoral outcome. You know, there's this oft-repeated argument that they have never won election, but their percentage has kept on increasing. It went up from 3% to 5%. Last elections, it was 9%. But more than that, the religious group's agenda has been adopted by the mainstream political parties in order to outflank them. So this is a much larger issue that, you know, their agenda is now being pursued by both
the political parties.
Both political parties. And let me just give you one example. A lot of people must have heard of section Article 58B of Pakistani Constitution. This was brought in by Zia to consolidate his hold on the state and the government. It gave him the power to dismiss the prime minister, dissolve the parliament, dissolve the state assemblies, and so on. It took about 15 years after Zia's death, another 8 years or so, before the civilian parties clawed back this power for the prime minister's office. This is sometime in 97, 15th Amendment. Both PMLN of Nawaz Sharif and PPP of Benazir cooperated to scrap Article 58B so that the prime minister became the most political figure. But they did not touch Hudud ordinance. They did not touch the entire gamut of religious, changes, Shariat law, which Zia had brought in. So Zia serves a convenient purpose for these parties to point out that, you know, he is responsible for Islamization, but they share that agenda. So that part was left untouched.
So the Hudud ordinance?
It remains there. It's still there. And Shariat law remains there. And in fact, now there are institutions. There's a, Shariat court, federal Shariat court. So they have carved out a separate judiciary.
Namaste, Jai Hind. You're watching ANI podcast with Smita Prakash.
अगर हम उसको मस्जिद कहेंगे तो फिर विवाद होगा।
The issue is टूटा है क्या भारत?
400 पार का मतलब ये है
कि संविधान खतरे में है।
क्या हम लोग ये निर्देश देते हैं कि फला को गिरफ्तार करके जेल डाल दो?
वही तो कह रहे हैं सब।
ये बेबुनियाद निराधार आरोप।
सच्चा सुनना चाहो देखो स्मिता प्रकाश ANI, it does not lie.